All right, guys, back from another episode of A Few Points from Perfect, and I think we got easy
there.
I took out the
I don't know
operator. What is this called?
Well, I don't know what this is called.
Contraption.
It is.
So people listening have no idea what we're talking about, but people watching on YouTube, our mics don't fit on the side of the table, so we had to commandeer the fruit stand here.
The fruit stand.
I thought this was part. So this is part of the.
This is the decor of the house, Mike.
I was sitting there staring last night when we were doing one. I was like, I actually think that was here before.
Yeah. I didn't know. I didn't know if man behind the scenes made this or what.
No. I was like, that's pretty fancy. I was like, no, I think that comes with the rental house.
Well, the rental house, the table's like, what is this thing? Like
it's
4 inches
thick? 4-inch
thick
wooden table.
Butcher block. Yeah.
And I've got like 2 inches of stroke here. I mean, we're just. Now, see,
hate it for you.
At home at my desk, it's a 2x4 right here. I just drilled a hole in it. But right. There's a deposit or something, and well, I guess it's not in my name. I would have been fine.
I mean, I don't think they would have noticed a hole. It looks pretty antique here.
Well, we can't run too much furniture in this place. Have you seen it? It's
yeah, you lose the table. It's barren.
It's a little bit.
Wouldn't take long for a yard sale to clean this house up.
But it's worked out pretty good. So if you guys haven't figured it out yet, we are still in Florida. We are been here for a few days. We are officially sunburnt and wore out and tired. But go around the table real quick. We got Mike Dirtboss coming in town.
Yep.
So welcome to the podcast. And then I've seen you on the internet like once or twice.
I changed it up. I went to this side of the table just to spice it up a little bit. They need a little variety.
So I feel like, I don't know if I like, I don't know. Anyways, the camera's sitting here staring at me.
You better like me on your way home.
I wasn't talking about you. I was talking about our table placement here. Like, I want to play musical chairs around here. We did have to do some switching around the chairs, though. We had to play kind of musical chairs here because we had a squeaky one.
No, Chris does not like squeaks.
Yeah. The guy with the headphones really don't like the squeak, so I definitely appreciate that. So, all right. Well, we got, you never said who you were.
I'm Chris, the Big Deal 18.
Big Deal 18, Mr. LetsDig18 himself. So you, I think it was a tie between you and Jerry about who was the most requested one. So I'm pretty excited that I've got both of them on the podcast this year. Getting Jerry on there was like, this could go really good. This could go really bad.
I was like, this is going to be really good. Honestly, I had no idea you were even doing this. And
that's probably a good thing.
It showed up in my feed one day. I'm like, Jerry! I was like, I'm going to watch it.
So, before we get too far down this road, you got the privilege of working with Jerry for a couple hours, I guess, didn't you?
Yeah, he got the privilege of watching me work.
Yeah.
I think he learned a thing or two.
Well, it's funny.
He sat back and admired it, so, I mean, he didn't tell me how to do it, I was doing it halfway right.
He kept calling you that boy from North Carolina. I'm like, he's got a name, Jerry. Is that boy from North Carolina coming back to run my dozer? I said, you mean Chris? That boy from North Carolina.
That boy.
I'm like, do you realize Chris is a lot less words than the boy from North Carolina?
Right? Whatever, Simon.
Yeah. Put the camera away. Go to work. I always tell everybody whenever I first started, he asked me how much dirt I was going to move with a GoPro 8. I said, probably not much dirt.
Brush a little dust off the screen and carry on.
I mean, I guess I could shovel tracks out with it if I got mad enough at it.
Probably could.
It would be bad. So, but anyways, we've all traveled down to Florida. We've had a pretty good trip at the auctions.
Weather's been good, right?
Yeah, weather's been good.
We've seen some real gems.
We have.
Seems like this year it's like new stuff or clapped out stuff.
Well, you've been here.
I was looking, some memories come up. I was back here in like 2010. So
you've been. This is like your 12th year coming down.
I've been here throughout the years.
This is my second time coming down here. I was here 2 years ago, and then this is your first trip, right?
My first.
So I don't have quite the memory of looking back, but man, from my first trip to this trip, there's not near as much here as what there used to be.
No,
it's crazy. It's a weird time.
It's slowing down. There's just people are holding on to everything that's still running.
Sure.
From what I can see, it's like brand new stuff that somebody needs to get rid of for some reason, or it's the stuff that they really need to get rid of for some reason.
Well, there was stuff at the auction, and I thought, like, I wouldn't even pay shipping to get it home, going for like $20,000. It's like crazy. I mean,
for me, I like looking at all the old clapped out stuff. You know,
you missed a gem yesterday because
Jeff Martin so far has got the winner on that one.
That one right there. God bless whoever bought that thing.
Did you never get it started, did you?
No, it was dead.
It was dead. It's dead in more ways than one.
I mean, it was so clapped out and us not even running. I couldn't even imagine what it did sound like.
Yeah, well, there was
like 2.5 inches of room between the bucket pin and the bucket ear.
So if anybody wants to see some video, what we're talking about, you actually posted a short video on your channel. LetsDig18. So go.
God, I done forgot what I called it. What did I call that? What did I name it?
Something you can't live without. Or
something when you find one you can't live without. Somebody did.
It's a pretty good one. So, but all right. So, anyways, let's go down the LetsDig18 path here a little bit. So, I guess have you always had passion to be an excavator? Was like this the childhood dream?
So I guess I was never really good at anything else. So I was pretty much. I guess I was kind of born into it. I didn't really have the option of I wasn't told this is what I had to do.
Right.
My grandfather started the company when I was very little, and I enjoyed being around it. So I go to work with him and hang out, and I just kind of fell in love with being around the equipment, and I thought it was pretty cool. I mean, I was in elementary school and being around the excavators.
Right.
I mean, that's how cool are you being in third or fourth grade there? Might have been younger than that. I don't even remember. I was way earlier than I should have been.
Right. OSHA wasn't approved.
Oh my God. It's like, yeah. You wouldn't get away with that today.
It's like, when you're a child, some kids play with the Tonka trucks and just love it. That was me. Even though I was a mason first,
right.
My dream is, heavy equipment.
Oh yeah. I had the best sandbox in the world.
Right.
When I was little. I mean, it was amazing.
So, we asked Clint this last night. I mean, were you the A student? Were you the trouble child? I mean, what was...
I was pretty good in school growing up. More towards senior year, I realized that, this is kind of what I really wanted to do. Parents 100% had to go to college. That's what you wanted to do.
You had that was pushed pretty hard.
Parents were very, very strict on you need to go to college. I had to pay for it, but I needed to go to college.
Yeah. Yep.
So I took one semester to be parents want me to be a civil engineer. You're going to get tired of digging in the dirt. I'm like, so I like it pretty much right now, Mom. But nope. Going to get you do not want to be digging in the dirt when you're older. I'm like, okay. So let's just say I didn't do, I think my first semester, I was pretty smart throughout high school and everything. And
I think this is the first smart person I had on the podcast. Most people are over there I skimped through. I never made it. Matt from Diesel Creek's I'm lucky I graduated.
I wasn't the best in everything, but shop class I did pretty good.
Technology.
I had it figured out where senior year I had an internship where I just went to work. And that worked out great. I could leave about, I think it was 12 o'clock or something like that.
I think
I might have had to fudge some.
Some people probably find this hard to believe, but I think the only thing I got straight A's in was conduct. I just sat in the corner, did my thing, and I wanted the hell out of there when the bell rang. You know what I mean?
And, I kind of worked it where I was interning with the family business, which was my grandfather started, and my uncle took over. My dad had nothing to do with it. He just had no desire to do it.
Well, let's. You've told me some stories about your grandpa, and he sounds like a pretty damn interesting individual.
Oh yeah,
with some of the old drag lines. And
he had the drag lines. He had one of the first trash services around. Then Waste Industries come down and took over that back in the 70s, I think. And then they did that Clean Air Bill Act or whatever. They were cleaning up all the junkyards, and he got big into hauling all the scrap cars out. I think that was back in the late 70s.
That was before my time.
But he did all that and bought some cranes and started doing a lot of demolition work. D.H. Griffin, they're a big wrecking company now. But he actually helped them when they were small, tearing down a bunch of the hotels and stuff in downtown. And he got into that. And
no, we should point out, your grandpa didn't even own an excavator until the very, very end. This is all being done with cranes and drag
he's
lines
doing everything.
He
had one crawler. It was either one crawler crane and two mobile cranes, or two crawler cranes and one mobile crane. I can't remember.
Which was pretty common back in that time.
Yep, and they got set up with. He did a lot of demolition and the drag line work, and he had the clamshell and all that stuff. And I remember when I was very little, a family friend of his down the road, they actually set up their own dredge plant.
Really?
Out of the river, and because he needed a access for sand, so they were pumping sand. Oh, you never get away with it today, but they had a dredge set up in the river sucking the sandbars out, and they set up this batch plant out of these big old fuel tanks, and it was screening it, and
that's awesome.
It was something to see, but it worked, and it got them where they were. But the cranes got older, and when he turned 65, I think that's when he bought his first Daewoo. He was a very frugal person.
Right. Well, most people from that generation were, because they remember the time when there wasn't nothing to be had.
Yep.
You know that.
I mean, he bought the nicest, cheapest machine he could buy.
So you have any idea roughly what year he would have started the company?
The excavating company? Mm-hmm. Well, he would have been 65. He was, I'm going to say it was probably early 90s. Yeah, because at the second Daewoo...
This is your dad or your uncle or your grandfather?
My grandfather.
Okay.
When he bought his first excavator, I'm going to say it was in the early 90s.
Okay, so when did he start with the cranes and all that stuff?
Oh, gosh, that was probably late 70s, early 80s.
And he started pretty much straight up from scratch?
Pretty much.
So when he got his excavators, did he get into the pond building?
Yes.
Is that what you guys
yeah, see, pretty much the cranes got so raggedy, and he was getting old, and that old friction cranes, it's not the easiest thing to find grade with.
Right.
Those things take a man to run, too.
Absolutely. I mean, I wish I was born like 10 years before I was, because that would have been some cool stuff to see.
What's your first memories of being on the job site with your grandpa? Or
I have a picture. It's an old Polaroid picture. We were doing it was a beach erosion project he had down at the coast, setting boulders along the, like those jetties or whatever it was. Right. And I got a picture of me standing beside one of the rocks in the bucket, and I was probably 6 or 7.
Yeah.
And then I tried to mirror image that when I was 20 or so, and I probably need to do it again.
Do it again.
And I got 2 pictures. I thought that was pretty cool. I have to put those in a video or something one day.
Yeah, that is pretty neat. So whenever you first started into the family business, was your grandpa still running the business at that time?
Yes. I was still going to work with him. It's kind of a blur somewhere in there, but I know for a fact I was full-time at 14. We had bought that first Takeuchi mini excavator. Before that, didn't have a whole lot going on one summer. I worked on that the family friend's farm. We had that dredge plant, and I'll never forget. I was 14, and it was friends of mine. We were at school too, and they were stuck having to work in the garden. They had a big garden stuff, planting that, and they were like, "We're getting paid pennies on the dollar, and you're making like $12 an hour."
Well, it's. I don't want to get too far off subject here, but it is so different. Like I remember, I'm a couple years older than you, but I remember back whenever I was wanting a construction job or an excavating job, like right out of high school at 14. Like I had to put an application in, I had to interview. You had to sit back and cross your fingers you got hired, because there was a whole list of people wanting your job that you had.
Oh, absolutely.
Nowadays you can't even get anybody to apply. So to your point, to be able to have that opportunity to go work for your grandfather and get that real life experience had to really pay off in the later years, because you got a 5-year head start on everybody.
Yeah. And it wasn't all operating. I got the crap work because he was old.
He's teaching.
Yeah. That shoveling and that, go drag that pipe over here.
But you were getting paid more than minimum wage.
No, I was getting paid maybe like $10 a day.
Family never takes advantage of family.
No. You got a breakfast and a lunch. That's all you need, son.
And if you're lucky, a ride home.
And a ride home. No, I was younger than that when that was happening. But
so about the time that he bought the first Daewoo is also about the time you're kind of coming on full time into the business.
No, I would say probably 5 or 6 years afterwards.
Okay.
I don't exactly know when he first got that first Daewoo. All I know is the one that I spent more time in, it was a 97 model, and he bought it brand new. So he had at least 1 or 2 before that. So,
Gotcha.
Or at least 1. So
once he got the excavators and the cranes are kind of wore out and in the parts yard now, did the workload change from the demolition and the bigger jobs like that?
Yeah, focused on more. We did a lot of stuff for farmers, a lot of farm. He did a lot of stuff for farm cleanup and the ponds, and he was always known for like the crap nobody else wanted to do.
There's good money in it because nobody else wants
to do it, and he loved a challenge. You tell him it can't be done, he'll say, "Watch." I mean, He tore some stuff up.
Did he ever sink
Oh
one?
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh.
Where was the camera at there?
Right.
What was YouTube then? What?
Right.
If cell phones didn't exist then, but I heard some stories. It was bad.
Really?
It was bad.
He was one of those guys.
I got a picture on the old my first flip phone. That very first Volvo we got. I was in college then. Well, back to the college thing. We never finished that.
Yeah, sorry.
But I went for the first semester of college. I think my GPA went down to like 1.5 or something like that. It was horrible. Might have been less than that. I was like, this ain't going to work. So I switched career paths into.
Well, to your point, it's not because you weren't smart enough. It wasn't what you.
Well, it was all the crap core classes.
Yeah.
I did great in the engineering part right there. I enjoy doing that, but it's all the other crap you got to take that you'll never use. Anyways, I switched majors over into construction management, and that was more like house building and stuff like that. But it gave you a good knowledge of that, and I graduated that with like a 3.0 or something.
So was that a 2-year degree?
Yeah, it was just a 2 years associate's degree. So I got that. I don't use it, but I mean, it was. I said I did it. So
right. Well, that whole time, I mean, I'm curious what your guys' takes are on college. I mean, if it's something you want to do and it's something you feel like you need to do, I'm 100% for it. But as far as a tradesperson, I mean, if somebody's passionate about picking up the trash and he's okay with being called the trash man, support him.
Yeah, like, I mean, trade school. I mean, that 2-year degree would help anybody. I see it as setting me back 2 years from where I am now.
I agree 100%.
I don't know. Maybe it did good. Maybe it postponed me the 2 years to where I needed to be.
Here's my take on it. I kind of had a little bit of a similar path. I got a 2 years degree in applied science, which is basically diesel technology. I'm a certified mechanic, if you want to say that. I went to school for 2 years for that. I learned more in the first 2 weeks I was on the job at a Mack truck dealership than I did that whole 2 years I was at school, because it was real world, real life experience. And I was very fortunate. I had people at the dealership, just like you had your grandfather, to teach me things.
Yep.
And I mean, all three of us at this table hire people from time to time, and I'll take experience over education.
Oh, absolutely. Somebody that just, honestly, if you can find a farm person, somebody, I mean, you can just tell when somebody's been around their whole life. It's like they just know where to stand out of the way. Right. Just like you can tell, just hooking up something, it's just, you can tell somebody's been around it.
Just the way they hold the shovel.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Yeah.
It's,
are they leaning on it?
You don't even have to say anything. I'll just watch it for a second. I'll know if it's going to work or not.
Yeah. No, there's and there's nothing. I don't want to discourage people to go to college or not to go to college. Everybody should not be shamed for their decision of what they do. And we all three work in the trades, and I'm here to tell you there's some good money to be made in the trades, and there's nothing wrong with getting your hands dirty every day.
There ain't no glitz and glamour in it all the time.
No.
But I'm telling you what's true. You can make a lot more than some people can that's got a 4-year doctorate degree.
And and paying off the student loans is non-existent.
One machine costs more than a whole doctorate degree. I mean, it's stupid. You can go out and buy $250,000.
The return on investment of that machine versus an education is, I don't know, 3-4-fold depending on.
Oh, absolutely.
You never know what you're going to get into with the machine. You could make X amount of dollars one week and make triple that the next week,
and then it might make nothing.
So you really can't plan what you know.
Oh, absolutely.
I guess the point I'm trying to get across is whenever I was wanting to go into the trades, I was looked down on, like, you're not smart enough to do anything else, so you're going to go run a damn bulldozer. And that's not the case. I mean, one, you shouldn't. If somebody's passionate about that and want to do it, you should support them and push them down that path. And running a bulldozer, running an excavator, there's a whole lot more to it than what meets the eye. And I try to cover, not for that reason, but I try to cover that a little bit on the channel, that, the thought process that goes into it.
Yeah, I mean, anybody can go out there and push dirt and look busy. Right. But being efficient at it and making something at the end are two different things, because, I mean, we can see it. Anybody can go out there and push a pile of dirt up. But it's doing something with that dirt
3 times, or uphill,
or do something and have to dig it up again.
Yeah. I hear my dad. I had to push that dirt uphill both ways to build that pond. But no, I mean, if anybody out there is listening and you're passionate about the trades, I mean, pursue it. Whether it's electrician, a mason, I mean, anything.
You don't want to do that. You're going to be old, tired, and wore out. Well, yeah, I am at 34 here. I am getting kind of tired, and I do hurt every morning. But I think it's been worth it in my eyes for what I've accomplished.
Right. So back to our timeline here a little bit. You're you're somewhere in there. You go working full time for your grandpa.
Yeah, graduated high school 2005, college probably 2 years after that would be 2007.
Okay.
So what are we looking at now? 16 years I've been out of college.
Right.
Worked for my uncle, took over somewhere between college and high school. My grandfather decided that my uncle should take over.
Now,
which was simple because all he had to do was buy him an excavator. You know, it was just
well,
it was one machine. That's all he had.
That's kind of what I want to point out there a little bit is obviously your grandpa was getting up there in age a little bit. He was getting close to retirement, so he wasn't really pushing the company forward.
No. It was more of a play for him.
Yeah,
give him something to do.
Right.
I mean, he worked on jobs. He didn't charge him near what he could have charged. He's just something for him to play with, and he liked to go fishing. That was his two things.
So the bread and butter of the business at that time still the farm work and the pond work and all that stuff. So, at some point your uncle bought your grandpa out, which was basically an excavator, a handful of customers, and
pretty much, yeah. I mean,
I've met your uncle. He's a pretty savvy guy himself.
Oh yeah,
and his background was he'd been working in the machine industry.
Yeah, he was a manager of a machine shop for a long time.
Right.
And when he first started out, with a Daewoo excavator and a little Ford Ranger pickup truck.
That is crazy.
That's all he had.
So was he as passionate about the excavating as you were, or was he just ready for a career change?
I think both.
A little bit of both.
I think both. You know, I had been around it longer than he had.
Right.
Because I'd spent my whole childhood growing up around it and everything, and I ain't saying that he wasn't around it, but I had kind of been around it longer than he had, but I was still in school, so he was able to figure it out quicker than I was.
He was older, ready to make the move.
Well, he had that thing.
Kudos to him because he evolved that business.
Correct.
Real good.
Well, yeah, but that kind of goes back to the mixture of education and experience. He may not have had experience in the dirt world, but he still had experience in life and business and was able to make some pretty good decisions.
Pretty much started off with the Daewoo excavator he started and the old one my grandfather had.
And this was late 2000s?
Early 2000s, I would say, yeah.
So you're...
No.
We need to get like a fact checker over there.
I'm going back because I'm thinking about the year models, and that's when everything's going.
Isn't it funny how you just reference like random things? Like mine's like
I can't remember when it happened, but I remember that Takeuchi was a 2004 model, and I'm placing it back. So somewhere between like 2002 and 2004. Yeah. It kind of transitioned together.
I was like, was that before or after I had kids? And which one? You get the timestamp of the time.
I can remember year models of machines, but I can't remember when.
I bought my 200. My son was just going to be born. And then I had pump failure, and I just was flipping out to my father. I go, what am I doing? I'm going to have a kid in 5 days, and I got to pump down, and I can't afford this. What did I do? I made the dumbest mistake. And
now looking back on it, it's not really that big a deal.
Right? No.
No.
That was like my first big excavator, so I was like,
oh my God.
I thought that was the end of the world,
So I do know in 2004 we got that first mini excavator and a dump trailer, that old ragged dump trailer we still got today.
And that was under John's, let's just say John's control, or John had taken over the business at that time, your uncle. So you guys are off and running. Just kind of curious, did you guys, John's taking over your working farm. Did you get a plan together? Like, we're going to go do this, and this, or did you just start taking in whatever work come along? Or
it was pretty much, I was just operator. I had no control over anything.
So you didn't go with him to look at a job?
Oh, no, I still don't do that today.
Oh, all right. So you just
he
go
still
there and
takes
show
care
up?
of all that, yep.
So basically, he would line the work up to get all the paperwork.
Do all that, and
so
honestly,
he didn't coach you as a mentor, like to teach you what you're doing now as far as business wise.
Nope, I figured it all out.
So
myself.
you figured it out as your own. Yeah, that's good.
I think that goes back to generation again. I don't know, nothing bad or indifferent about it, but it's just the way that generation was. As I learned it, now it's your turn to learn it.
Your turn, and I honestly, I prefer to be out in the field. I enjoy just sitting in the machine, not dealing with people.
Oh yeah.
He'd tell me go to work and be like, a lot of times I was working by myself.
Right.
Even at 17, 18 years old, I was everybody had enough faith in me. They realized I wasn't an idiot, and didn't really never tear anything up. So
obviously. you and your uncle both did something right because the business grew quite a bit.
Yes, it really, bought that first Takeuchi mini excavator in 2004. I think we got that TL 150 skid steer. It might have been 05, 06. Something like that. I remember we did a horse arena job and we got it shortly after that. Realized we were renting a little dozer and stuff like that. And I didn't get our first dozer till 2008.
That's still the same one you got now.
Still, yep. Original first dozer.
I thought that Komatsu was your second one.
I've got a few hours on that dozer.
Yep. Komatsu D39.
How many hours now?
I got like 3,000 or 4,000 hours on it.
Yeah, like 3,700, I think.
It's one of those things like you need it.
Right.
And then you don't need it for 2 months. Or, I do everything with a big excavator. So you use it a lot, but you're going to use it maybe 3 or 4 hours on this job, trim out stuff. And hours just don't add up on it. You use it. It seems like we use it frequently. Yeah. It just doesn't get a whole lot of hours put on it.
So as things are clicking along here, somewhere in this whole mix, you guys got your first Volvo.
Yes, the first Volvo came before the dozer.
That was the 160?
That 210. 210B. It was a 2004 model, and we got it with 350 hours on it. I remember stuff like that. It's just stuff that's programmed in my brain. So somewhere late 2004, 2005.
So was that a game changer for the company?
It was. It was nice to have something nice to work with.
Right, because that was. I know you bought some other smaller pieces that were nicer, but that was your main piece, and you finally had.
Yeah, we still had both those Daewoo's at the same time. So at that time, we had that 97 model. I think the last Daewoo 220 was a 2002, and then that 04, and then we had the Mini. So we had 4 excavators at that time, and but my grandfather was still working, my uncle was working, and then me too. So they really stayed busy.
So what year did your grandpa just retire?
I can't honestly. I'm drawing a blank on. He worked up to 6 months of his death. We found out within 4 months. Found out he had leukemia. They gave him 6 months, and he made it 4. So it was just like a rapid. And I can't. I don't remember bad stuff like that.
The man was probably never happier working up to the end. That's what they.
He was never sick. Never showed anything. It's just
what
cards you were dealt. So.
I've got 3 excavators, 2 bigger excavators, and I'm like you, I don't have a whole lot of employees, and everybody's like, well, you got all this equipment, but you guys do a lot of small jobs like I do, and being able to hopscotch that equipment around, it's borderline invaluable.
Oh, yeah. It's people are like, why you got so much equipment? You need some more operators. Well, no, you don't.
You don't need to run them.
One's an hour this way, one's an hour that way.
And, it all depends on the weather, so,
right. You got 2 days of grading here, but skip over to this one because that dried out by now.
Him and I we work great together. We don't even have to say anything. You know what to do. And when we've had 2 employees over the years, and
that was going to be my next question. So obviously you and your uncle and your grandfather were staples in the company. But did you ever have any full-time employees or long-term full-time employees?
Yeah, first one was Cameron. He was with us for almost 4 or 5 years.
And he was just the one at a time, so it was your uncle and him.
Yep, and we worked real good together, and we got a whole lot done, and just over time, people find better opportunities.
Right. And you can't fault them for that.
Small company, you want to do better for yourself. It is what it is, and I ain't gonna fault nobody for looking after themselves. And he found a better project or a better job close to home. He had just had a kid, couldn't be traveling. We work. When we go to work, we work. Right. We'd leave shop, 6:15, 6:30 in the morning. He's 30 minutes from there, so he's having to get up 5:30 and not getting home till 6 or so. And you got a newborn, and it's tough. So I fully understand. And
how long Tim work for you?
Right at 2 years. So he Cameron.
He seemed like he was getting it. He was running the 160 and stuff.
Yep.
It's hard to explain to people who are not in business, but sometimes bigger is not always better. Sometimes less is more. I've had years where my revenue was through the roof and my profit margin was
sucked,
paper thin. And then I had years where my revenue was in the basement and my profit margin was through the roof. And you can't you can't outrun your management. You got to know what your goal is and what you want to be. And you go out there and get all this equipment running and burning all this fuel. If that guy's not over there being efficient with it, even if he's half as efficient as you, you're still not making the money. You're just wearing a machine out. So I can relate to that a lot because the mentality of you and your uncle is kind of similar. I had to learn it the hard way, to be honest with you, but it's a lesson that I think a lot of people have to learn the hard way, and hopefully they do before they get too far down that path. You yourself kind of been on the big and small side of it,
right? I mean, two efficient guys could move, mountains.
Oh, yeah, I mean, we do it,
you know what
and
I mean?
We work great
right.
together.
You look at the amount of dirt you move into pounds. It's like if like you're saying, you don't have to stop and talk. And you just know. You
just know.
It's just at the end
stick
of the day,
the bucket out, you back up under it, and let's go.
Look at this. So.
But, I mean, everything. I mean, it went great. We stayed very busy, expanded out, bought a haul truck.
Well, that was my next question. Was that going to be, is the haul truck the next big, air quote, game changer for the company? Did that really kind of
It was. When we got that 30-ton, we're starting to do a lot of bigger projects, and he bought that military truck, and it was the biggest, baddest thing in the world, but I hated that thing from day one. I was like, it's not comfortable to run. It sucks. It's hot. It's cold. It's got no heat, no air, nothing. It's bare bones. And
that's why Lieutenant Dan is not that model, for the record.
And by golly, he ran it too. I was like, I ain't running this piece of shit. I said, it's yours. I'm sitting in the Volvo. I got a heat seat in this thing. I'm good at moving dirt. You wanted this thing? This is yours. By golly, he drove it too. And
so how long did you? I wasn't watching you regularly back in the days. How long did you guys run the old Army truck?
We had it for 5 years, 5 long years.
5 long years.
Yeah, that poor
thing.
What
did that hold? How much dirt?
You put 10 yards in it.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong; it's a lot better than shuffling it with a skid steer. I mean, we were moving dirt with skid steers.
So it was an improvement over that.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, I'd laugh at the way we moved dirt back in the day, but we did it.
Right.
We worked with what we had.
Whenever you're starting, you can do what you have to do.
Yeah.
It's just that simple.
Yeah.
You figure out a way to make it happen with what you got.
So I know it was a lot faster than taking 3 yards with the dozer and pushing it 500 feet.
Yeah.
Right.
And I mean, it worked. It just wasn't right.
Yeah, when you start wearing out parts and have to buy and replacement parts,
we
you start
went
learning
through
how to
like
become
3,
efficient.
2 lift systems on it. It just wouldn't hold it, and 6-wheel drive broke on it, and he wouldn't get it fixed. He likes to procrastinate on stuff like that. And it was a nightmare. I hated it.
So did you plant the seed for the haul truck, or did he finally?
I wish that damn thing would have blew up about 5 times. It wouldn't. You couldn't kill it. It damn thing wouldn't dump though. You didn't know if it was ever going to dump another load, but you couldn't kill it. I think we went like 2 years. I never checked the oil in it.
Just try.
Oh man, it'd be all right. God, honest.
Do you care to tell us how you really feel about this truck? I mean, don't hold back here now.
Do you notice I didn't care? I'm over them damn things.
Yeah.
Especially after getting that Volvo truck. We was like, I was like, we need a haul truck. We need a real truck.
We need a real haul truck.
John, we need a real truck. So we go look at him, and long story short, he's found another Army truck with a full-size dump bed on it. I said, if you buy that bastard, I'm quitting. I'm done. I don't know what I'm going to go do, but I'm done. We forgot about that one that day. We never heard another thing of it. We went around and started looking at haul trucks, and we went up and looked at a cat one. That one for me. And what did we look at? Looked at a couple. I think we looked at a couple, maybe old 30 tons. And then just happened, they weren't even looking for that one we found. And the guy's like, well, I got this one right over here. And we looked at that, and I was like, he had a budget. He's always got a budget.
Right.
And it was out of the budget. And the guy,
it was clean.
It was clean.
I mean, brand new paint.
The guy that walks out, he's like, I'll take $10,000 off of it right now. And it was like,
got your attention.
Got his attention. I was like, the more I drove it around, and just, man, those Volvo trucks, they are like Cadillacs. And it was about 3 hours from home, and we looked at a couple more on the way home, and I was like, John, there's no comparison to that one, and we ended up buying it.
Now, that truck had quite a few hours on it, didn't it?
Yep, it was a 2006 model. It had 10,000 hours on it. We got it.
And
12,000 on it now.
Been a pretty good truck, hasn't it?
Been a very good truck. Had the injector problem. When it ended up being a short in the wiring harness, but got that fixed, and I mean, it's just something.
So how many hours now?
Like almost 12,000.
Yeah. About 2,000 on it. A haul truck, the way we use them, or the way you use them, I shouldn't even say put me in this. I don't have one right now, but a lot of them hours are idle hours.
It is. You might as well figure about half of them are idle hours.
Right.
They're sitting there waiting to get loaded and dumped and travel back.
Especially whenever you're working by yourself.
We don't put the idle hours on like a big company will. I've been on a few projects and they start stuff up in the morning and it runs all day long.
I shut mine off every time I'm out.
Whether somebody's going to be in there or not. So I think that's how all these companies get 10,000 hours on the machine in 5 years.
There's a company by me that's a bigger company that starting to sub to. They're subbing me out, and they lease. So the Komatsu D51 that they had, it just went back $70,000 overcharged for hours.
For running the hours up.
Hours, because AC, at 6 a.m., that thing's running. If it's hot, if it's in the winter, it's running for the heat.
Yeah.
And these guys are, they could look on the computer.
Yeah.
These are all idle hours.
That's what I was getting ready to say.
With
$70,000 with the computers nowadays. I mean, they'll tell you how many times it's spent going forward, backwards.
Oh, absolutely. They'll tell you all that stuff. That old stuff don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess how far after the haul truck did the 220s and the 250 show up?
Oh, $1 million question, right? I'm replaying my timeline. Somewhere in between there, he got that first blue quad axle dump truck and tag trailer. I think that's when we got a 140 after we traded the last Daewoo. Started getting there was a big building boom back after 08.
Yep.
Everything started coming back about 09, 010. Might have been 11. I don't know. Somewhere in there, the building boom started back, and it was too big of a pain to haul these 220s around for a one-day clearing job. I think he sold that oldest 220 traded for the 140. Got that 140 Volvo. It's a great little machine. It just wasn't big enough.
Was that a B or
that
C
was the
series?
B model.
B model.
So got that where we cleared. I cleared some trees with that little thing. It worked great. I mean, it just wasn't. Needed a 160. Needed a 160, but that was a good deal. Couldn't pass it around. Kept it 5 years. Sold it for the same thing you paid for it. But then he bought that quad axle and tag trailer to be able to haul it himself. That way we could haul the machine, cleared a lot, load it up, go to the next one. Did a bunch of those, and he could move the dozer and mini. We had skid steer and everything but the big excavator. But, it's still not practical no more than we move it to own all that. And then somewhere around, I wanted to say we got rid of that last Daewoo, whenever that hurricane in Joplin, Missouri happened, or tornado.
Tornado, yeah.
But was about the timeline we sold that last Daewoo, because the guy bought it sight unseen and it wasn't there. Losing track of timelines then.
That was 14. Brandon would know.
Brandon would know because he got hurled across his house.
Hurled out of his house. Yeah, somewhere in there. 12 or 13, I think.
We got that Volvo 160C then. And so then
you still got that, right?
No, we just recently got rid of that for the new 160.
Oh, I didn't see that one.
So we got, at this time, just say 14 or 15, we got the 210B Takeuchi mini excavator. In 2008, we bought that other Yanmar because it was 08. We still got
still got that one.
Yeah, still got that one.
I got the privilege of running that one there on Justin's project.
Yeah. I mean, worth more to us than anybody else. I don't know. You probably still sell it $30,000 now.
Yeah. Down here,
didn't pay about 50 for it probably. And so that time we had two mini excavators, the 210B, the 140, and that 160. Somewhere around the line, the 210 started getting a little age on it. This was 2016. We got the 220E that we got now. It had 400 hours on it.
Yeah, so you got right now you got the 160, the 220, and the 250.
Yep.
The whole
and
truck.
Then the 250 is 3 years old. That was actually the very first brand new Volvo ever had. Ordered it brand spanking new. We had a bunch of big dirt jobs coming up. That big 5-acre pond we built, that was the first job it went to. It's been almost 6 months there.
Gotcha. And how many hours you got on it now, just out of curiosity?
A little over 1,000.
Over 1,000. So along this crazy path, I mean, obviously working with your uncle's going pretty good. Business is pretty good. I mean, like, you're probably I know you're the first successful guy to start posting videos on YouTube in the dirt world.
Yeah, I started that back in like 06 or something. You know, I'm filming everything along that. And it was more, I started off more of, you know, there was a few heavy equipment pages and just post pictures of all the cool stuff. I mean, we used to do some cool stuff back in the day and before videos and everything, and share that. And then, you know, cameras involved, and it was easier to take videos and post those.
So that for most people that don't know, LetsDig18, the 18 is basically because you were 18 years old. And you started.
I was 18. You had to set up an email, and I was 18 at my Yahoo email. So I started it.
Was there like a 2 or 3 night debate or thought process into the name, or you're just sitting at your computer and you're like,
I have no idea.
You're like, LetsDig18 sounds cool.
Bam, here it is. There we go.
Well, he didn't know it was going to be like this. Have his own bucket and thumb.
Right.
First thing that popped in my head, let's go dig.
Let's dig. Let's do it. I'm all about
it. So whenever you started the YouTube channel, I mean, was the purpose of it just to kind of share with your friends and your buddies and everybody the cool stuff you're doing?
I posted on those pages right there. You know, I'm sure there's people that still follow along today. They're going to be listening to this. That, like, yeah, I remember when you very first started.
I don't know when YouTube started.
All I know is we had dial-up internet, and it sucked. That's how long it's been, folks. Remember the I think it was 5 minutes later, connection failed. Phone call.
Then you hope somebody in the house don't pick up the phone.
Yeah, Dad's calling in. I'm gonna be home about 6. Damn it! I've been working 3 hours for my 2-minute video.
So I mean, obviously we didn't have iPhones back there. You're not filming on your phone. What are you filming with?
Just the very first digital camera you could get. It was like a Sony CyberShot or something.
Did you like put a floppy disk in it? Or?
The camera was like 2 inches thick. But I mean.
So were you like, I'm going to post a video a week, or just posting a video when you got cool stuff?
So the first one I posted, I think somebody made a phone call. It was like 3 hours into the upload on a 4-minute video, 5 minutes. It was loading that old Mac guy, that old Mac dump truck with the 210 we had. That old guy we used to haul our dirt. And I want to say like 3 hours into the upload, somebody called or something, lost track. I was like, well, I ain't piss on this. It's taking too long. Shut the laptop off. We had laptops then.
Yeah.
And like 6 months later, I just go back on YouTube and go to my page there, and I'm like, well, hell, I got a couple. It posted and got a couple comments on it. I was like, well, I'll try that again.
Really?
So I did it again. It might have been like once a month or something like that.
So can you recall your first viral video? Like, 100,000 views, say.
I don't know.
You don't know.
There's so many.
Well, I know there is now, but I'm just saying, your first one, you're like, oh, wow.
The first
people
one
are watching
really
this.
was that long reach one. I was digging that. I mean, it could have been
that's
that.
got like 16 million now.
Yeah.
I think the first time I seen you, I know you were young, you were doing the beaver, clearing.
The beaver dams, that was with the 210.
And you had those swamp pads, and I was like, this guy got up, right?
We were clearing those beaver dams. Yeah. Yeah, I was young. I was probably 18
but
or 19.
You were right on it, man.
So you started off the YouTube thing as just a novelty,
fun. Purely fun, just showing it off. Yep.
And
hey, I mean,
bragging.
Pretty much. Look what I got to do.
Yeah. Well,
have you taken a 50,000-pound machine?
All your friends at your age weren't doing that. I can tell you that.
When we did that beaver dam, I remember I was still in college then. So I mean, that's been quite a while ago.
Yeah.
So how many years went by before you're like, maybe there's more to this YouTube thing than just fun? Like, you remember like when you realized that maybe I need to start being a little more serious about this, or?
Oh God, I probably did it 5 years before I realized like, this could possibly be something,
right?
And then
because YouTube back then was,
it was still new.
It was so. I mean, like it's just hard to even fathom
what it was. I mean,
like you mentioned YouTube to now to somebody, like everybody knows what it is. Right. I'm sure back then you said something to YouTube and people were like, what's that? Like you had to explain to them what it is.
And I've never been one to really just like brag about it or tell people about it. I mean, I lived where I live right now for like 8 years before people realized who I was. I don't.
Right. Well, there's no need for it.
That's just me.
Yeah.
I'm just the same simple person I've always been.
So fast forward a little bit. Let's just fast forward 7 years, and now YouTube's starting to look like it may be something, and you're putting a little more effort into the videos and things are clicking along. I mean, did you set goals for yourself? Like, I want to reach 100,000 by this day, or
no? It is what it becomes.
You just kind of.
I'm just happy with wherever it's gotten.
Right.
I've never been one like, I got to do this. I'm, no.
Have you ever had days where you just want to quit and not pick the camera up?
There's been days I just ain't
say, I'm not doing YouTube no.
I wouldn't say that. I mean, I thoroughly do enjoy it, and we'll have to pick back up on this, but I've met some of my best friends in my life from YouTube, and that's probably the whole reason I keep it going.
So how far down your YouTube career do you think it was before you were like filming on a regular basis? Like,
I'd say probably about 10 years ago, I kind of realized that I need to kind of set a schedule.
So you were 6 years into this thing before you're like, all right, I'm gonna start doing.
It was like whenever we had something fun project. I was still in school too, so it was still kind of hard to like couldn't do it every day. It was more like a weekend event and work on the weekends. And but yeah, I'd say a good 10 years ago, I realized I need to probably do 2 or 3 videos a week. I think that's what I was trying to do, 2 or 3 videos a week.
So did your uncle ever, I mean, obviously you're probably filming on your uncle's jobs a lot. I know you're doing some stuff yourself, but did he ever give you any reservations about any of that, or was he on board with it the whole time?
No, not really. I mean, I don't know how long it took before he even realized I was doing it. I mean, I've been very good about like not wasting time. I take very good pride in like not wasting other people's time. So even though I'm there by myself, I'm just not like killing people's time.
Right, you're not setting up tripods.
Like, I mean, I literally have like worked an extra 30 minutes on just my behalf, just to
make sure it's
I
fair.
feel like I'm by like, if I start at 8:05 or 7:05, I'm work to like 5:05, 5:10. Just I don't know. I just feel like
fair is fair.
Fair is for the homeowner. It's not really worried about I made another few more bucks. It's like, this person, they've saved up a lot of money for us to come out here and do their one-time project.
I think
I'm not going to sit here and, charge another half hour when I wasn't working. That's just my morals. That's just how I am.
That's why where you're at,
Well, I mean, I've filmed with you, you filmed with me, and for some reason people just can't seem to believe that the filming don't slow down our production. And I mean,
the videos do suffer. I'm not going to lie. I mean, if YouTube was my number one priority, videos would be amazing. Sure, you might only get 1 or 2 a week, but they would be amazing. But I take work first.
Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of those times we're busy. You're only going to see a video from the cab. I don't have time to get out.
Right.
I mean, yeah, it'd probably be worth my while to get out and do all that, but we got dirt to move.
Yeah. And that's where I have a slight advantage with, working with somebody, is I can sit there and be still operating, moving dirt while he's walking to the truck to get a shovel. He can be getting a video.
Let me rephrase that. When I'm working, we still got to go back to kind of when I start kind of doing my own thing.
Right. Yeah.
So when I'm working for myself, I got a bid on the job. The only person that's hurting is me.
Right. Right.
So if I told somebody it's going to be 10 grand for this project, if it takes me an extra day or two, that's my problem. I'm losing money versus, I don't waste that much time. But you say it takes another 30 minutes throughout the day of, walking around filming stuff. The only person that's hurting is me.
Right.
Hourly work? No, I'm not going to sit there and charge you for it.
Well, I've also, I'm curious what your take is on this, but I've also found that a lot of customers highly encourage it because they like having their project documented. And
they love it.
And they can send the video to their buddy and like, hey, look what I did in my house, and
I've never had anybody get mad about filming, and I don't tell anybody. But most of the time, now everybody kind of really,
knows what's going on.
Well, when my uncle goes out and price stuff, he's like, well, if you're not familiar with what we're doing, you can check this out. And boy, that just gives them so much more reassurance.
Well, sure. Like, I mean, it used to be, do you have any you have any references? Or any pictures? No. Website? No. Here, go on this page right here.
I've got
everything you need.
I've got nothing to hide.
Here it is. Everything I do in the world's on here.
Right.
And,
and this is what you're going to get.
That's what you're going to get.
And they call you. You get the job,
Yeah, so you kind of led me into my next thing. We got, 15, 20 minutes here, and I want to make sure we cover this pretty good before we run out of time. But fast forward to, 3 years ago or so, 3 or 4 years ago, I mean, you're still clicking along with your uncle pretty good.
Yeah, we're still working great together.
YouTube is at this point exploded.
Yeah, YouTube's starting done good. Once I broke the 100,000, it was slow but steady, but it's going on up, and it's fun. I met a lot of cool people. And I bought the farm, and, it was still kind of that little gray area, like, Yeah.
You're doing work on the side, but not a full.
Well, no, not really. It was more like, I might need a machine. I would, I felt like kind of, I don't know how to put this. Like, you take such pride in the machines there. Like, can I bring it home on the weekend? Like, clean up the farm there. But it's like, no, it's really not practical to bring it home and everything. So, yeah, I saved up, bought my own excavator, that old raggedy piece of junk, and fixed it up. Was going to clean up some work on the farm, and I ran it 20 minutes, realized it was not for me, put it on Craigslist, sold it next day. And
what was that machine?
That Link Belt 3400 I bought. Right, yeah. Then I turned around and bought that Link Belt 2800, which was a good machine, and spent like.
So the purpose of that machine was mostly just clean up the farm.
I had no intentions of going out on my own, and
Did your uncle feel threatened at all when you bought that?
No, thing. We were sitting at lunch one day. I was like, John, I bought me an excavator for scrap value. He's like, oh really? He's like, oh yeah. And he saw it. He's like.
Yes, no threats here.
No threat.
You're good.
Hey, you even got that thing off the trailer? I was like, it was a piece of shit. It was mine.
Yeah.
Nothing's worth more than something that's yours. But anyways, I got that 2800 and cleaned up the farm, did everything I wanted to. I did a couple little paying jobs for it, and I wasn't looking for work, and nobody called me about it, and I was ready to build a house, so I sold that down payment on the house, and a couple years later, flashback, I was like starting to get more people wanted, they knew who I was then.
Right.
I started building kind of a better name for myself and everything, and I was renting a lot of stuff from my uncle to use on the weekends.
You were probably, 300,000 subscribers at this point?
Yeah, probably so. Maybe not quite that much.
You were still clicking along pretty good.
Yeah, something like that. Anyways, it got to the point where I was like, well, hell, I got something I can do about every other weekend and make some extra money. But by the time you rent something, it's just not practical because from him, moving stuff around, we're working 5-6 days a week.
And if it rains or a permit
you're always rushed. I hate being rushed at what I'm doing.
Right.
So I had about 4 or 5 people call me up, and I got the projects, and I'm sitting there stressing. I was like, oh, God, I've done committed these projects. I got a damn machine. So here we go again on Craigslist. And that was about the time where you didn't know if you were going to make it back alive or dead and buying something on Craigslist.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier today.
We're on Marketplace now, but
yeah.
I found that Hitachi, and she looked good in the pictures. I went down and looked at it. I was like, I ain't buying this thing. This thing's a piece of junk. Owned it the next day for 12 o'clock. Got that thing home, did a bunch of work on it. All in all, it was a decent machine. She needed some love. And she was going to keep giving some love.
But to anybody out there that wants to get started in the business, you got to start somewhere.
You got to.
You got to start within your means. And
I'm always one, you can't always go out and buy a brand new machine, but I had enough saved up. It was $40,000 I wrote a check for it. Had a paid for a machine. Now I'm broke. Got to go back and made that money back.
Go back to the grindstone and
get back to it. And I knew I had some good projects. I was going to make my money back. And
so at this point in time, whenever you own the Hitachi, you're still full time for your uncle, correct?
Correct. But I told him no, not working any more weekends.
So basically, you're working 5 days through the week for your uncle.
5 days a week. That average between 50 and 60 hours.
And then you're turning around and working as much as you can on the weekends with your mom.
Turning everything into 80 hours.
Gotcha.
If not more.
So progressing on down the timeline here a little bit, did you buy the 220 before you started cutting back with your uncle?
That's a good question. I'm not 100% sure.
Because eventually where you ended up getting was you continued to pick up work. So you got to the
Pretty much I bought that Hitachi, ran it all summer long, kind of sloughed off during the wintertime a little bit, and then I really started getting some calls about mid-spring there. And when I found that Volvo, I was like, this is going to work out. I think I need something nicer to work with.
Right.
If
you've seen the potential of it.
Well, what it come down to, I'm trying to do this on the weekend. Something breaks, and you're screwed. Then you're trying to get it fixed. First job was 80 miles from home. I did with that Hitachi, and it blew a damn hose. And next thing I know, I'm trying to work and then run down there, get a hose swapped out during the week. Damn thing's like 15 feet off the side of the road with the hose busted. And it's just like, it's not worth the headache. I was like, I need something nicer to run. So I bought that first Volvo 220 and worked with AMI We talked a lot about building, a setup I wanted. It's like, I'm going to spend all this. It's far from a new machine, but it was the nicest thing I ever owned.
Right.
Personally owned.
It's a nice machine.
And got that set up, and it's just, honestly, that machine has been a game changer.
Yeah,
for me.
we can give a little plug to AMI here. I've had the privilege of working with them as well, and Jeff is awesome.
By far one of the best companies I've ever had to work with.
Yeah. Really, I've worked with Jeff on the ruckus rake, and obviously you've worked with him tremendously on your thumb and bucket setup. And
I want some damn body to listen to me when I got something, and it's just like good, bad, ugly. Listen, just listen, and ain't nobody ever told me no.
Yeah. It's they've been a lot of fun. They're a good company. They got good products, products, I guess is what I should say. So you're clicking around now. You got the 220.
I got that, and I realized I'm getting a lot of work. I was like, I need to start taking every other Friday off.
So basically, you're like, Uncle John, I'm gonna work 4 days a week.
No, I was working every other Friday, so I was only getting 2 days a week off.
Gotcha.
So that went on for a little while. I think that happened about over the summer, right when I first got the machine. I realized I needed to start working a little bit more, and then I think the end of the year, I realized I need every Friday off.
Gotcha.
So that gave me, 4 days a week.
Did he get upset with that, or?
No, not really. I mean, he kind of understood, but also he's looking after himself.
Right.
I mean, I'm the only operator now.
Right.
And he's got all that equipment, just me to run it. He can only do so much himself.
So as time has progressed on to, as the years go by, basically you cut down to 2 days a week. Or
ain't no years. I mean, this has all happened within the past 18 months.
18 months.
So that's happened.
So right after that Volvo, that September, I bought that. I got that Volvo in June or July of 2020. I bought that skid steer September of 2020. 2021 comes around. I'm going to Pennsylvania to pick up a Komatsu dozer. And people calling me. I was like, this.
So did you advertise at all the business? Just
I don't have a website. I ain't even got a company. I didn't even have a company name at the time.
So it's YouTube, you think?
It's just, I don't know where these damn people are finding me from. Honestly,
how do they get your number?
They'd be sending me emails because all I did was just put my email on that.
I mean,
people be calling me such and such referred to. I don't know who that is, but what you got?
Well, I think it's a combination of two things. I mean, you and your uncle had a very good reputation with what you did.
Oh yeah.
And then obviously the YouTube presence definitely didn't hurt anything.
No,
so a combination of locally known good work and then the YouTube presence.
I had a couple good jobs from YouTube, and then the people they knew in the area. It's just like
word of mouth starts.
Word of mouth is great.
A few from YouTube.
Word of mouth is better than.
Have you gotten any jobs that your uncle has bidded? Has that come across?
In the past 18 months, twice.
Really?
So but you've been tried to be pretty respectful.
Yeah, it's like I didn't find out until like after I priced it. He's like, went and looked at this job right now. I was like, oh yeah, I looked at that last week. Oh,
yeah, that
we just kind of leave it at that. So I mean, it's like. Really, it just comes down to.
I mean, everybody's got to play in the sandbox. You all got to get along. You're better off being friends with your competition than your enemies. I'm not saying your uncle's competition may stretch the imagination, but so sitting at the table here today, you've basically worked yourself into now you're working for your uncle 2 days a week.
3 days a week.
Days.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and we swap it up. Say I need to do something on a Monday, I'll work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or say the weather ain't nice. I mean it's easy to get along. Yeah. All the stuff I do is really not under a huge time constraint. So, I mean, if you got to move it around,
obviously, the way things are progressing, eventually you're going to be on your own, whether that's next year or 3 years down.
I mean, I've always had the plan. I mean, that's even his plan for me to take over the grading business. But it's like he's not ready to retire yet, and I'm ready to.
You're ready to go.
I'm ready to do more. I'm at an opportunity where where the money's being made at. You can only make so much being an operator.
Sure.
Right.
But my God, the worries are a whole lot less when all you got to do is show up, turn a key, and go home.
Yeah. I've said that.
Oh, I've stared at the ceiling before. Go, what in the hell have I got myself into? I was like, this is supposed to be easier, and I got all this crap stressing over. I've
said this time and time again. The easiest part about the job is actually doing the job. All the other stuff behind the scenes,
getting stuff there, and got
logistics and paperwork and customer relations, and there's a lot that goes into it.
The stress goes away the minute You turn that key.
Yeah,
forget about it. It's like I've got all these jobs. I still don't have the equipment I need.
Yeah.
And so found that dozer, and had a good year the year before. Was able to go up there and buy that, and things were looking really good. And I bit off another chunk of the cookie there, and I ordered me a brand new mini excavator, and that come summertime of last year, and so, I had a wild hair at my ass, and Facebook Marketplace is bad, and bought that 977.
Right, you got the track. I should have just. How you got this one? You got yesterday.
I got a lemon. No, we're still not done yet. I done bought a haul truck too. Needed some more stuff, and now we got a good one tomorrow though.
So
next one is coming.
Yeah. So I guess basically the long term plan was for you to eventually take over your uncle's business.
Yeah.
And that's obviously shifted a little bit to building up your own business as you phase out with your uncle. And I mean, I'd say in the rather near future, you'll probably be full time on your own here sooner rather than later. Which is exciting and one hell of an accomplishment. I mean, it's a big, how do I want to say this? There's a lot more to being a successful business owner than meets the eye. And I don't know anybody in business that can't relate to that. Does that make sense?
Well, I guess the one thing that I can say that always pisses me off when somebody said it must be nice to be given all that.
Yeah, that's a bad saying.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing gave me shit but opportunity. Exactly. And all I had to do was work.
Well, even whether it be with your business or even with YouTube, the only reason it's successful is because you bust your ass and you keep with it. I mean, that's what hard work pays off in both.
I tell anybody, if you want it, you can come hang out with me. We'll see how long it's going to last.
Right. Well, and you can't do something for a year and get frustrated that you're not getting what you think you're out of it. I mean, you got to put the time in. You got to put the blood, sweat, and tears.
The dedication.
I mean, just like you said with YouTube. I mean, you went 6 years just kind of hobbying it.
Yeah.
Best case scenario. So
you won't even get paid for it. Yeah, it was 100% for fun. But I mean, it's a fun thing to show off. Still do it today.
Right. So a couple things in closing or wrapping this up here real quick. Getting back to YouTube, and you kind of mentioned it there a little bit. So you've been doing this a long time. I mean, you've been doing it longer than pretty much anybody in our excavating YouTube world. So
I was one of the first.
I mean, you're the first one I know of.
Yeah.
Was there anybody before you that you know of, out of curiosity, that's still
there was a couple channels I watched. I can't even remember. They didn't post nothing.
So they've kind of went to the wayside.
Yeah, pretty much.
So what's the biggest positive? Like, what's the biggest takeaway or the biggest thing that come out of YouTube that you maybe didn't expect? It was just
people I've met.
And you've met some.
I've met some crazies, and I met some great ones.
Right.
I mean, I'd honestly say, Charlie, Justin, you. I've met some great friends through YouTube there.
It's
that you otherwise wouldn't have never met. I mean,
I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for YouTube.
I'd say probably Justin's one of my best friends. And, I would have never met him, and he's 30 minutes from the house.
Yeah. Right.
How long have you known Justin?
Good question. At least 10. Well, we did that. We did that show for Discovery like 10 years ago, and I knew him before then, so good 10 or 12 years ago.
12 years. It's, I mean, it's just like Junior and Jamie for me. I mean, they live right across the river from me. I never would have met them for YouTube. And it's crazy. So, so what's some of your like highlight YouTube experiences? Is it doing stuff with Volvo? Is it traveling, doing stuff? Or like
I mean, it does open up some opportunities of, being able to do some stuff with Volvo and Discovery Channel reached out, about 10 years ago and did that little TV show for them, and just the opportunities in general and people you meet and stuff you get to do. And, people all the time invite me to go places, but I mean, it's like,
gotta work.
Don't really know you, but
well, I think sometimes people forget that the reality of what we do is we actually do the work, and we don't have the free time. I watched them film a version of Extreme Makeover Home Edition one time. It used to be on ABC, when Ty Pennington and the crew and Paige, they'd show up and work for 15 minutes and then they'd be gone. And then if you watch the TV show, it's like they were all there all
day long.
That's not quite like that in our world. I mean, the work you see and being done is done by us, and then the filming's done by us, and then the editing's done by us, and
work all day long, do the editing, try to answer stuff, do T-shirts, got to eat, got to sleep, got stuff to do around the farm too.
Right. So is there like one video that comes to mind that you're like proud of, or you think of like?
I think my excavator recovery one. I have more people pick me out from that one right there. It's like had a guy with that little restaurant we had at before you left. I've known him for years. And I'm sitting up in my office one night, and he sends me a screenshot. Is that you? He's like, holy shit, you got like 20 million follower views on that. He's like, that's awesome.
And that's crazy because it's something that you didn't even expect. You know,
we
got the call,
we
there.
weren't even going to take the job. I was like, it was one Friday afternoon in the wintertime, about 5:30. Wrecker service calls, like, this ding dong's done sunk this machine up out in the pond. He's like, the rental company, they want it out. And they're like, can you come first thing in the morning? It was a Saturday morning. I'm like, damn, I got more stuff. I got work I got to do. I'm like, Uncle's like, yeah, well, I don't know. We'll look at it in the morning. And he hung the phone up, and I looked over at him. We were riding home from a job. I was tired. I was ready to go home. I was like, this sounds pretty good. I was like, I really want to be home right now. It's cold, raining. I was like, let's go out there and look at it tonight and get a game plan. We went out there in the pitch dark with flashlights, and we were like, oh, my God. How did this happen? And we kind of came up with a game plan, got everything scheduled. 7 o'clock in the morning, moved the machine, got over there, and it was so good, Justin. He had to work. He quit working that day just to come out there.
Is Justin in the video?
Yeah, he's in the video. He drove 45 minutes. He's like, man, I ain't never seen something effed up this bad before. He's like, I want to be a part of this. I don't know what I'm going to.
How long did it wasn't that long to get out there, right?
It took like less than 2 hours from start to finish. Got out there, got a game plan. I was like, we went out there that night. I was like, I reached down there. He's like, they don't want us to do it. I reached in there and I turned it. The key fired up. I was like, this thing will still start up tomorrow. It's going to come out. I was like, if it
bottom was hard, right?
I guess
he was at the bottom.
He was close to it. Yeah.
I wish you could have Justin in more of your videos, man.
He's a trip. We need the beeper button though. You get him wild up right
but
there.
Justin is. I've had the privilege of meeting him a few times and hanging out with him, and he's a lot of fun.
It ain't always that fun, but I'm telling you,
he's just a genuine good guy.
We feed off each other, and it's great.
Yeah, he's just an all around good guy.
Everybody thinks you talk a lot.
Yeah, they haven't met Justin yet. He's one of a kind for sure. So,
but I think that video has done best. That one really kind of put the channel up to where it needs to be. And it's like I was telling you, I've been doing it so long. It's kind of like the channel's watered down. It's kind of I hate to say it, but it's the same old, same old. I mean, I've come to the point now, I've done it so long, if I think it's boring, I normally don't film it or try to make it spiced up a little bit. You can only do so much. You get a job and you're just clearing and clearing and clearing.
I think the other thing to point out is whenever you started YouTube the first 2/3 of your career, you didn't really have any competition.
Yeah.
I mean, your competition at that point was TV. Well, nowadays you got all these jacklegs like myself and others that come along that or I don't know if I'd consider our channels competition. I don't know if that's the right word, but you also got stuff on. There's a lot more options for people to watch.
But honestly, more people are cutting TV out now.
Yeah,
and they find 3 or 4 people they like, and they watch their stuff. And honestly, the last 3 years 3 or 4 years I've been so busy, and I finally got a good internet at the house that I started doing a daily video. You start working 7 days a week, you can do a daily video. Yeah,
I would have to agree with you. Like, hands down, the coolest part about YouTube for me is I would put meeting people and opportunities kind of together, because I've met some incredible people. We've become pretty good friends over the last couple of years. I've got a few other people I've become good friends with over the last couple of years, and that never would happen without YouTube. And I've also got some pretty cool opportunities that I never would have had without YouTube. So. I've always said I never started my YouTube channel for money or fame, and I think anybody that does will not be successful. I mean, I do it for a hobby. I do it because I enjoy it, and fortunately, some of that's kind of come along with it, but it's not the driving factor to keep going. I do it because I enjoy it, and I think that comes across, and I think if you do a channel because you enjoy it, it'll come across on your channel, and people will enjoy your channel because of it.
It's not play. I don't try to act.
Right.
If people like it, they're like, well, you're legitimate. You keep it real. We don't always have good days. No. We have some great days, but every day ain't.
Well, that's a great point, though, going back to it's true reality TV, and I think a lot of people got burnt out with all the drama on what supposedly is reality TV on camera or on TV. Because what we do is a lot of people can relate to it.
Yeah.
The blowing the hose or the stuck in the mud DOT style.
You try not to sit there and whine and complain about it. And sometimes, evidently, I sound like I whine and complain. I'm just telling you how the day went.
Right. You're
frustrated. It is what I'm just it is.
And a lot of times you turn the camera off, turn on, you forget what you said just 10 minutes
I'm
ago. You said it again.
I'm
and
bad
you're like,
about
man,
repeat.
you said that 5 times. Well,
it is what
that's between 8 hours,
You have to understand that I got 6 months worth of work playing through my head of what I'm doing, 5 things I got to do to my day, phone's ringing,
and you're trying to film on top of
and I'm trying to film on top of that. And
so, in closing here, real quick, would you say there's any negatives to the YouTube career, or would it be overall positive?
I'd say 90% positive.
You've always got your commenters that think they know
everything.
everything.
I mean it's just going to come with everything. I mean, gosh,
there's always going to be haters.
There's always, but it's really not bad. I mean, I think everybody's been really good fans, but it's just, I don't know. Sometimes I just like to, I always try to pretend like I'm just the average Joe there, and I still think that to that day is like I don't expect to be treated any other different. All I do is film what I do at work.
Well, and I think that goes a long way with everyone. We've met a handful of fans down here at the auctions this week.
Don't let it. I can't stand it when people get to your head and they're just like, I'm bigger and better than you are. No, you're not. Sit your ass down. I don't care. Yeah. I don't care. We've been out here. Half these people at this auction could they ain't telling how many millions they're worth, and they're just riding around on a golf cart, and you sitting there watching these guys spend $300,000-$400,000 and
it's pocket change.
And just run over here and eat a pack of crackers and drink a Pepsi. I mean, it's honestly, and I know a lot of people like that. They could buy anything you wanted.
Yeah, I've always said the people who talk about having $1 million don't, and the people who don't talk about it have several. That's a fact.
That's a fact.
That is a fact.
It's that simple. So, well, Chris, man, we'll go ahead and wrap this one up. I can't thank you enough for taking the time and doing this with us. And Mike, thanks for sitting in for Jason over there. Hope you guys enjoyed the podcast, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Appreciate it.
We'll see you.